Hi folks, my name is Aiden. Welcome to Hodge Podge Hobbies. Today we're going to make a smithy that looks nothing like this little sketch here. Now every build starts off with a nice clean surface. And 2 good cutting mats. First material you'll want to grab is a good old sheet of balsa wood. Interestingly enough, the best way to open these isn't by using your fingernails. Use it with a nice sharp hobby knife. This is my first project ever working with balsa wood, and I've heard it actually doesn't look like wood. Apparently we have to put our grain in ourselves. Best way to do that I found is just grab a nice steel wire brush, and after a few strokes of that, bada boom bada bang. After that, I decided to try and stain the wood with some washes to try and give a little bit of different coloration. It didn't really work out. After I let my soaking wood dry, I then went on and proceeded to cut strips. Now I know balsa wood is supposed to be soft, that's the whole point of it, but this was ridiculously soft. I could make like 1 pass, almost 2 passes, and I'd have a full strip and some really nice grain. I then next grabbed some pink XPS and just started cutting it. Now I thought, let's go with a really small scale I've never worked in before, 1/72. I hope I pronounced that right. I then stacked my basic shape of the building that I was going for with a little bit of hope. And used my new favorite adhesive yet, Foam Safe Superglue. Odorless as well. Not only does this stuff bond super quick, but you can work with it for hours. But probably you don't. It's still super glue. The project was coming along decently well after getting all these cuts, and things were just kind of falling into place. Now we get to one of my favorite parts, working with mithril. Fortunately had some left over from the last build and was excited to try it out again. Now I also subscribe to the camp that not everything has to be hand-built. It can be, and it's awesome, but 3D printers are handy, especially if you don't like doing tedious work such as windows and doors that you're going to have on every single build. You can yell at me for cheating in the comments below. So a little bit of backstory on what inspired this build is just the worlds of creation from both gamey builds and Boy Light Hobby Time, as they take their Wild Western Imaginary series and their sci-fi, like Dune almost-esque series. Sorry gamey builds if I'm wrong on that. My first love being the medieval, I figured I'd have a stab at it myself, and we'll see how it goes. Now I imagine this blacksmith who kind of just built this house in a sort of crossroads in between 2 either big nations or even cities. Almost like as if people were just going out on an adventure. They would stumble across almost like a random gas station and be able to either bandage themselves up and their weapons and armor, or in case add more to their armory. Probably my proudest moment of this whole build is hiding that transition in the materials. Usually I don't do that because I'm lazy, but this time I did, and it looks great. Now I've seen stucco done a plethora of ways, but I decided to take some of my excess Vallejo earth texture and try and create the stucco or the plaster look that you see on buildings, and I think it turned out decently well. I know what you're saying, and I can feel your keyboards clicking already. Roofs don't work that way. Well, maybe my blacksmith doesn't know that. Maybe he'll find out later. Bench. Man, anvil, bucket. Off camera, I went in and gave this whole thing a nice little zenithal. Painting and coloring has never been my strong suit, but I like to think my 3rd grade teacher would be really proud of me.
Nice.
Now, most of the paints that I used in this were Speed Painter from Army Painter. No, that's not right. There, that's right. Weathering powder is super nice, and I'm bringing it back in this build. I haven't quite gotten to the point of where I want to be with it yet, but we're all somewhere in our crafting journey. Now, I'm no Alex from 52 Miniatures, but I think these shots, and potentially even this painting, would get his stamp of approval, maybe? One can hope. My base didn't actually turn out exactly how I wanted it to. Patience is a virtue, and a little goes a long way, which I just kind of threw out the door. One thing that I think could work in the future is using contrast or speed paints with static grasses, but it didn't pan out this time with the Thonian camo shade. It just kind of created random blotches throughout the grass and didn't really make it look realistic. But we're definitely going to try it again on another build. And with that, I think our first homestead of this series, world, and universe has officially come to wraps. Thank you guys so much for listening, and thank you, REK, for being our first patron. If you guys have a good name for a blacksmith, please leave it down in the comments below. Until our paths cross again, farewell.